Okay. Okay, Julian. My first question: can you tell us about growing up in your hometown, and also just a little bit about your medical condition?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in New York City. Um, and I'm not sure if you've all been to New York, but it is a extremely diverse city. And I, as far as like my disability goes, I was always the only one in school who had a visible disability for that matter. So growing up was very interesting for me trying to navigate that. But my disability is muscular dystrophy, and I've had it since I've had knowledge of this planet.
Okay. Um, Second question: what one thing you wish you had known before you begun your modeling career?
One thing, oh, wow, so many things, but at least for me individually, that I that my work never stops as far as like being an advocate to my community. That even doing something like modeling, there's still a lot of things that need to be changed within the industry as far as having our community be valid and heard, and appreciative that we're here and we're never leaving, and they're just gonna have to deal with that. um, so yeah, it's been an interesting, because you would think that modeling wouldn't, you know, give me the opportunity to talk about my community, but if anything, it's given me a bigger platform and a bigger opportunity to connect with people, not only in our community, but people who you know, may not have knowledge about our community or ignorant, but are willing to learn, which is the most important part.
Okay. Um, what has been like the biggest obstacle you faced since you started modeling, and what did you learn from that obstacle?
Yeah, I mean, I think I still continuously have this specific obstacle, and pretty much it has to do with having people to listen to my needs as far as someone who has a disability, a physical one for that matter. um for the industry to understand that we do, wear clothes, surprise surprise, we do, shop around, another surprise surprise. And it's always been a constant struggle to, um as a model for that matter, to let them know that we're not going away, that this is not a one time thing, that this is not like a trend for that matter. That hopefully, my beginning steps of being in this industry with my disability means that other people can follow as well, and give them the opportunity to be, in the same position as I am, because then what's the point of my job? It's, it's horrible being the only one in the industry when there's no room for someone else. And the whole reason why I did this whole career was to give an entry point or a way for other people like myself to, if they like to, follow this career as well, and that disability has nothing to do with whether they get that job or not.
And so you kind of open up the gateway to my next question. What advice would you give someone going into the modeling field and has a disability themselves?
I'm sorry, it was a little cut up there. You said what advice was that?
Yes.
What advice? Well, I think if anything, what helped me a lot specifically, is to study the industry a lot, is to understand that it will be, on top of like your life being 10 times as hard as anybody else, it's going to be 20, if not 30 times as hard. And repetition, as far as letting people know that you are valid, and this, if you want this job, you should be able to have the opportunity to get it equally as everybody else. um so I definitely would probably say, you know work, as far as study the industry. I interned a whole lot during college, so not only was I going to college as well, but I was working at the same time trying to get myself familiarized with the industry, so that when I do have the opportunity for that job, they'll go by my resume, not by my physical appearance, because that has nothing to do with my job, if that makes sense.
So, what are some of the resources that you feel are best to use when you're going into the industry?
Oh man, of social media. I mean, I am blessed to have been part of the generation of social media. I think that it's important. Even though the platform sometimes can be scary and just a rabbit hole of horrible um, situation, I think if anything, it's brought me specifically closer not only to my community, but people around the world, as far as giving the message um, of disability and modeling and all that. So if anything, that's like the biggest tool that I think is important. And because it was my first beginnings, was posting photos of myself, fully, not like halfway, not like hiding, not like a little, but like fully myself, um, on a website called Tumblr. Um, and yeah, that's where kind of it all was born.
Okay. My next question: how did the connection between you and Nostradamus come about?
Norshadam?
Uh, I, I, I thought you had did like some modeling for
Or Nordstrom?
Nostrum. Yeah, I'm sorry, I mispronounced it.
I'm like Nordstrom. Oh my god. Nordstrom. Yeah, Nordstrom was one of the first jobs that I had. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they saw to interview me online, or on TV. I'm not really sure. But yeah, the amazing part about Nordstrom is that they always continue to put people who have disabilities in their stores, their department stores or catalogs, which is amazing. So it wasn't just like a one-time thing. They still continue to do that, um, which is what's most important. If you're, as the company who sells to thousands and millions of people, you should know that we also should be part of your marketing or campaigns, because we also shop, or there's someone that knows someone who has a disability. And when you have the statistics of 1 out of 5 people who have disabilities, that's a whole lot of people. Um, so having someone like myself, um, in their campaigns just lets you know, and continuously doing it just lets you know that they are actually listening and taking action, um, with the information they're being told, as far as how much representation matters in our community.
My next question: I read that you had opportunity to work with Beyonce, or
Yes.
part of her clothing line. Can you tell us about that?
Where do we even begin? This can take like 5 hours. Um, yeah, so a friend of mine, she was her personal photographer. So she would go around with Beyonce, and she called me one day and said, "Hey, so hypothetically, I'm just gonna throw this out there. If maybe someone that I work with may want to hire you for maybe a possible campaign, would you be down for that?" And I'm like, "Wait, you're gonna what?" And I knew that that was like the only job she had. So I was like, "Are you trying to code me that Queen Bee knows about my existence on this planet, and as is wanting me to be part of her empire and world? What?" And she's like, "I mean, hypothetically, I'm saying, would you do it?" I'm like, "Oh, of course, yeah, I would be." I almost cursed there. I was like, "Of course, there, I'm gonna do it." I'm like, "I'll drop everything. I'll drop, if I have like a surgery tomorrow, I will go to this job first." Um, so yeah, so that's kind of how it came to be, and the experience amazing, and the outpour of the response and the press I got, and then she invited me to one of her concerts, and I think I probably passed out, blacked out, and cried at the same time, um, because I mean, that's just a lot. It's like such a powerful message, especially for her who has so much influence. to everyone. And even people that, you know, may not like her music understand that her message is way more powerful than her music is. And that's so important.
Okay. Off the top, can you think of 3 individuals that you has been the most influential in your life up to now?
Influential. Um, hmm. I mean, most of the people that I find influential are no longer with us. Um, like
Yeah.
Frida, the artist. Even like Michael Jackson, who legend, or Prince, I would say, are the most influential people for me in my life. They're no longer with us, but they still continue to influence me as far as how hard they worked, as far as how unique they are, how far as, excuse my language, how much they didn't give a fuck about anything and still continue to be themselves. And I try to be or have that like energy and influence on everything that I do.
Okay. Where can our viewers follow you at online?
Well, most likely more on Instagram. I'm on Instagram a lot, and it's just my full name, Jillian Mercado. Twitter, I'm usually more on it for political things or to try to help our community with messages about all sorts of things. Um, but yeah, pretty much those 2 places. I don't have anything else but Twitter and Instagram.
Um, so as a model, what moment would you say has been your most proudest up to now?
Woo! I mean, there's a lot of proud moments. I think that, you know, a question like that varies on, you know, what do I'm thankful and blessed enough that I've had a lot of amazing proud moments in my life. I think as a New Yorker, although I have to say having a billboard in Times Square is pretty hard to top. Beyonce comes like really close second, like really like super cutting it. But having a billboard in Times Square is the most fire thing I've ever like been so proud of. Um, I want to say that because like I'm a New Yorker through and through, and even though I live in California, it's been hard to shake that off. Um, and having a billboard smack in Times Square is crazy.
Well, that was my last question. I want to say thank you again. I appreciate you so much for interviewing with us. I want to tell my viewers that you can find us at communityheroes.net. Our social media platforms are there. Also, check out our YouTube channel. And this interview will be posted there. Soon. And Brandon and Michael, did you guys want to share any thoughts with our listeners before we end this interview?
All good. Everything great.
I love your wallpaper. I just been staring at that the whole time. It's beautiful.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, well, that's it. I think we're going to end this interview. If and thank you again so much, Julie, for interviewing with us.
No, thank you so much for having me. This was a delight, and I appreciate everything that you do. And thank you for continuing to do these interviews. They're really awesome.